Hey there, Rich with Rich Baum Photography, Sacramento, California. Beautiful, beautiful park where my kids played baseball growing up, and I thought it'd be a great place to do a little tutorial on triggers, lights, cameras, and how they work together, and how you can get your things to be talking to each other. I've had quite a few requests to do a tutorial on the compatibility of triggers because gosh knows it can get very, very confusing. Anyway, I urge you to ask questions, put them down, let me see them. I can certainly find answers for you, and just anything. It doesn't even have to be dealing with triggers or lights. It can just be anything in photography. More likely it'll be real estate photography, but I do it all, so be happy to answer your questions. So I see we have two people signed up. I don't know who's there, but welcome. Anyway, behind me, you can see I have various lights, and hopefully you will be able to hear me in the background and to be able to decipher what I am saying. Or I could use sign language, but what you might want to do is if something's not right on the video, feel free to comment on it and tell me, hey, Rich, we can't hear you, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to just get into this, even though I don't have anybody watching, but this will stay on my YouTube feed and my Facebook business page. So anyway, let's get started. First, we have various lights that I use. Anywhere from speed lights, which this is the Godox. This is actually not Godox, it's rebranded. So understand that Godox, everything Godox is actually the same as Flashpoint from Adorama, is the same as Cheetah lights, the same as Newer. They were all rebranded by Godox. So it's a Chinese company. I do recommend you buy everything through Adorama, which is Flashpoint, or Streetlight. You hear me talking a lot about Streetlight 360. Hey Gordon, welcome man. This is for you, buddy. I told you I'd do a tutorial on triggers. I think it was you who asked. Anyway, Gordon's been helping me with my website. It just shows that these Facebook pages are really helpful. We got a lot of great people out there, so thumbs up, guys. So anyway, we've got our standard flash here. This is a manual flash. This will not do TTL, but the good news, and it uses AA batteries. The good news is, when I bought it along with the TTL version of this light, it was $49. I mean, and it's a built-in receiver, so I don't need to plug anything in, which we'll get into later. But we've got this light, and I've also got the Flashpoint. This is the Zoom TTL version for Nikon. So I really like these. This is a great light. The other thing too is this light has a lithium-ion battery. So it avoids AA batteries. The recycle time is 2 to maybe 3 times faster than the AA version. So that's the good news. It's got TTL, and I think I paid $149 for it. I mean, how can you beat that? My Nikon flash, my 910 Nikon was $550. So I have stuck now with all off brands. And you know what? If they break, I just buy a new one. Still cheaper than fixing a Nikon. Anyway, so I've got this one, which I use a lot too, and I use this also for weddings and for events, but right now we're talking real estate. So these both have built-in receivers, so I don't have to plug in anything. And I'm going to stay with the wireless built-in system for the time being, and then get into how you can incorporate YN Yongnuo flashes. You can incorporate Nikon flash, any flash you want. Basically, if you have the right cable, it will attach to any trigger. Not exactly, but in general, you could say that rule. So you can use different lights with different triggers and incorporate, if you have all Yongnuo, and let's say you want to get a Streetlight 360, which is my favorite light nowadays, which I'll go into it in a minute. But you can use the Yongnuo, and here's the Yongnuo. I still keep all my old Yongnuos, and you can see it's virtually identical to, not identical, but it's very close to the the Godox brand of lights. So you could use your Yongnuos and you can incorporate a Streetlight 360 or even the big light in the back, back here. I've got the AD600, and that's a much bigger light. Actually, you can see it back right there over my shoulder. That's 600 watts. This is 360 watts. And I don't know how many watts these speed lights are, but they're just standard. They're all about the same. So anyway, I'm going to put this Yongnuo light down, and I'm just going to deal with the benefits, why I went to all the same brand. I had Yongnuos for a long time. Well, I originally started with Nikon and had Pocket Wizards, but they hadn't really come out with a lot of stuff, TTL and wireless triggers. So you were really reliant upon the expensive brands like Pocket Wizards and flash poppers. I think they were called flash poppers, radio poppers. Anyway, now they're so cheap. So let's just start with this light. This is built-in wireless, and so all my speed lights will not only trigger without any external plugins, they will also be able to be remotely controlled. So that means I can take a light and put it in another room, and then I can adjust the power I want remotely. So if you're not doing remote triggering, remote lights or remote triggers to work with your lights, you're really missing out because it's so much easier. It really makes a huge difference. But if I was to use a Yongnuo trigger on these, I couldn't remotely adjust the power. I could remotely trigger them, and that becomes what we call a dumb trigger. So it just is made to trigger the lights. So what I want to say is, next is on this Streetlight 360, I have a habit of buying the basic manual flashes because I don't use TTL, especially with real estate, but I use TTL with other things. So I do have a few TTL lights, but I really like the inexpensiveness. I mean, this with the battery pack is $349. And I actually got this one used in perfect condition with no battery pack because I already had the battery pack. I got it for $165, and I love it. This light is still light enough to lift up. I can do light on a stick. Put my light out there. It's not that heavy. I'm not that strong. It is heavier than the speed light. I'll say it's at least double as heavy, but it's not too hard to do light on a stick. So I can utilize it just like speed lights. Now this battery will last all day. I mean, if I'm doing, I did an event recently and I used this flash, and I used this flash for probably about 4 hours of continuous portrait shooting. And I shot 4,000 or 5,000 images. I got, how you doing? People walking by. Hey, little tutorial here in my park. Anyway, I regress. Anyway, I got at least 2,000 eighth power or quarter power shots out of this flash with, this flash, my streak light, and I was down one light. So these batteries last forever. That's one great advantage. Now it is an extra weight and an extra thing, but the batteries run about $175. You can get them on Cheetah. These are Cheetah batteries, but they're the same as all the other ones. They're identical batteries to Godox, Blast, Adorama. They're all the same. So anyway, so I really like this, and the only thing different about this with manual is it comes with an external trigger, an external receiver. And originally this came with a different frequency, so I needed to change the receiver. But the good news is, here's the receiver. The good news is this receiver, and it's really cool. It's just a little USB, so it's not a big deal. But this receiver was, I think, $22. So I just ordered the 2.4 megahertz receiver, and I'm good to go. And it just plugs in here, and it is really sweet. You have to You have to figure all this stuff out as far as frequencies and channels and what is working with what. It is a little complicating, the Godox system, Streak Light Godox system, Cheetah. But it is well worth it, and it is a great system, okay? So let's get into now my third light, which is becoming my second most favorite light, but it is bigger, and this actually was replacing my end flash, where a lot of people use end flashes and they use it handheld. That's why it's got a nice little grip here. But honestly, I rarely use this handheld. It's just too heavy. But what I can do with it is put it on a stand, and I can hand hold it. One really nice thing about this light over the end flash for me, beside the fact that it all talks together, it's all on the same channel, all on the same frequency. I can remotely adjust this with the same trigger I adjust that, with the same trigger I adjust this, and the same trigger I adjust all my lights. Now, if I didn't need bigger lights like the 360 or the 600, I would have stayed with Yongnuo because they're cheap, they're great. I recommend that for everybody getting started. So I think the Yongnuo is sweet and great, but my problem was I started incorporating, and then I had external triggers, which I'll show you how I did it. It didn't work for me. The other thing too in the end flash is the adjustments were back here and the light's pointing straight up. So if the light's here, I had to bend over and look at it. It also, there was no way to remotely adjust the end flash that I knew of. You could remotely trigger it, so I'd have to have two different triggers and a different receiver for it, so I could utilize it in my system. I got fed up with that. I also tried the Rove light. I returned it. The Rove light by Flashpoint is cheaper than this, and I also got this on Amazon Prime Day for $430. So it was a deal. It's a manual flash. The TTL version is like 600 bucks. Still a great, and it's just a great light, but you can do, this is the battery that comes off it, rechargeable battery. You can do some little more investigating on this light, but it is a great light. It comes with a little hood. I put my actually this is from End Flash, little protective cover on it. But anyway, I really, really like this flash. Mostly, I like how I can incorporate it with all my other flashes. Everything talks to each other. And when I want to use this, I just basically point it straight up. And it's just like a speed light. I put it on this stand, or I actually have a 13-foot stand I use, which I put it up way high. This has got so much power, it's great. It can also be adjusted in third stop increments, which the end flash I think was full stops. I could be wrong, but anyway, I really like this, and I can totally adjust it. Let's get into the trigger. I can totally adjust it with these Godox or Flashpoint triggers. Okay, I'm going to go into these now. Let's put this over here. Okay, so I've got a couple of different triggers, and there's a reason for it. I started off with the X1 trigger. This is a Godox trigger, and I happen to go Godox just because I got it cheaper, but in the future, I will definitely go with Flashpoint or Cheetah because you can contact them, deal with warranty issues, and God knows these things are going to break. I know it. They're just going to go bad like Yongnuo, but we deal with it, and that's okay. So this X1 is great because it has TTL. I can use high-speed sync and TTL. And though almost all my lights are manual, no TTL, I do have this flash, so I can adjust this remotely, and I can also use TTL. So I got the X1 flash, and that's what I started with. God, excuse me, I'm still coming off with a cold, I got a little hoarse voice. And I'm gonna get to the questions in a minute. So I got this to start with because it's the trigger that everybody uses, and it's a great trigger. The only problem is, if I've got my camera, here, let's see, I've got my camera here, and this is even higher than I would use it. Let's say, for real estate, our height, everybody says, what's your camera height? I'd say, if I'm not using a tilt chip, it's probably about middle of my chest between my boobs and my belly button. Anyway, if my trigger is here, this is the deal breaker. I couldn't use it because, hold on, let me get it in there. Okay. To see the screen on this trigger, and if any of you have the X1 trigger, no, there is a solution, please, because this was a deal breaker. I couldn't deal with it. The only way to see it with this screen would be to bend over and see it straight on, which I'd have to bend over this far anytime I wanted to look at the trigger. And no way, the back, no bien, no bueno. So I came out with an idea of having a remote cable, hot shoe cable, and I angled this and it worked great. But here's the solution. They come out with another trigger called the Godox Xt32. And the thing about the Xt32 is, you can see it. It is angled. So it comes at an angle, which is, oh, there goes my light. We'll see how good the quality is of the light anyway. So when this is on the camera here, I don't have to bend over. The angle, you can see that the trigger is angled, and you can read it at another angle. So for that alone, and I'm manual anyway, the only thing this trigger doesn't have, it's called the Xt32. It's made for the moment only for Canon, but I found out I put it on a Sony camera or a Nikon camera, it works fine. It just doesn't have high-speed sync, and it never does TTL. So you don't use it for that, but you use it for real estate photography. It's awesome. So if you're using any of these Godox lights, totally recommend the Xt32. And eventually you can get it for Nikon or Sony. But right now they only have it for Canon, but that's okay because it works. And I was, I think, the first person to even try it on a Sony, and it worked because I couldn't get answers from people. So long story short, I use this trigger to trigger all my lights, and I can put them on. This trigger has, let's see, it has group EF. Okay, it has 32 groups, so you can have plenty of different lights. And I'm not going to go into how this works, but you can do a search for the Xt32, okay? Learn how it works. And there are some great groups. One group is called the Godox Flashes and Friends group on Facebook. Very knowledgeable people. A couple of people from Cheetah Light that are just really, really helpful. It can be very complicated. I'd be happy to answer questions for you too, so anyway. But this is the one I use, and it triggers everything, and everything remotely adjusts. And the only one I have an external receiver on is this. So I'm going to get into how you can mock this up to put in other receivers so you can work these lights with your young nuos. But I like having everything work together. It just is the way I roll, because life is too complicated to get too complicated into this. Anyway, I'm going to go now and answer some questions. I apologize for not getting into this. Nathan, dude, you've helped me recently. Gordon has helped me tremendously. Gordon, thank you. Brett Davis. What's up, Brett? I've always figured that low-end speedlights give about 50 to 60 watt seconds, while better ones like Canon give about 70 to 75. I'll take your word for it. You know, they go by guide numbers, and they go by different things to figure out how much power these things have. I'll be honest, speedlight's a speedlight, and it may give you a little more power. I tend to think that these Godox lights, speedlights, are not quite as powerful as the young nuos. And I never really compared the young nuos to the Nikon. But I will say you're probably right. If you're going to go with a Canon flash and you're going to spend $400 or $500, that's great. The only thing I will say is, every time I would bring my Nikon SB800 flash, which used was about $200 to $300. Every time I bring it in to fix it, it was between $175 and $250 just to fix. I got tired of it, so I go with all off brands now, and it works for me. So you know, if you can do an A/B test, I actually just tested these lights, these 3 lights. I tested them this week, and I found that this is the speed light I used. The speed light against the street light 360. Roughly, I am saying that this 360 is 2 stops brighter, a stop and a half to 2 stops brighter than this speed light, okay, at full power. The next one is the 600 is about a stop and a quarter or a stop and a third brighter than the street light 360. So this is about the same as 4 or 5 of these. So they all have their place, they all have their advantages and disadvantages. And I will say that this street light is a fine medium between the speed light and the big 600 watt, because I can use this just like a speed light now. It's a little bit big and heavy, but it is so nice to have the extra power. I want to show you guys too what this is. It's more than just a light. If you look at the comparison between the two, let's point this down. You have an area of light, and we all know that's why we point the light straight up and bounce our lights off the ceiling, is to get a big soft circle of light. I tell people I put my light usually about 18 inches, 12 to 18 inches below the ceiling, and I get about a 24-inch circle of bounce light. That's what you want. You want a big light source. Well, look at the difference between this. Sorry, I keep getting interrupted by Marina. Anyway, this is this size and this is this size. And you're going to get a much bigger, better quality of light. It's hard to describe what a quality of light is. You'll see a much more of a quality of light if you're dealing with portraits. But for this, it just gives a nice big blast of light. It's also called what we call a bare bulb light. So you can take this reflector off. There you go. And I don't go bare bulb much, if any. But here is the bulb and what it looks like. And this is filling up the reflector. Here's the reflector. It's filling it up and just putting out there 360 watts of juice, man. It is the good stuff. So anyway, long story short, I like the street light. And even if you looked at this light, the Godox light, the 600, which I can't get off of here, the 600 is way bigger. So it's just going to give you a nice, bigger, broader, big, softer spot of light. So that's why we use them, okay? But you know what? If you're getting started, you don't have to go out and get all this stuff. I promise you. It's not going to make or break anything you're doing. It is really about learning what you're doing. Go out there and get your resources. Okay, opinion on newer, I think it's newer speedlights. Amanda Burns. Well, I gotta be honest. I think it's all Godox. I think newer was Godox, but I think newer is being discontinued. So I don't know how that's going to affect anything, because there's really no warranty issues with anything anyway. I mean, unless you can return it to Adorama within whatever the warranty period is. If you're just going with Godox or newer, I don't think you're going to have any luck with warrantying it. So I think they're the same lights though. Newer actually came out first, and then I think they've been discontinued. So you are the best, Chris. You are the best, Rich. Thanks for doing this. I have run out now, but we'll catch you later. James, how are you, buddy? Careful. Yep. Is that when I drop my light? Okay. Gordon, Godox Xt32 at Amazon Prime is $46. Okay. That is true. It is a little more expensive, but it's about the same price as my Young Nuo transmitter, and they're all about the same. So $50 for a transmitter is nothing. My Nike, my Pocket Wizard Flex TT5s, they were $229 a piece. Anyway, okay, Brett Davis, right on. The beam angle changes the power of speed lights a lot. So you're right, it's really hard to get a really real world watt-second rating for them. Yes, it's hard to judge exactly what the power is of these different lights. So take it with a grain of salt. And, you know, I will say one thing. This big Godox 600 light is, I would put it side by side my quantum lights. And my quantum light at full power, this Godox 600 is the same at quarter power. So it's a stop and a half brighter than a quantum. And I don't have my quantum to compare it, but it's just to tell you, it's a big bad boy. And I'm sorry, the streak light, I apologize, the streak light is twice as powerful as a quantum T2. So anyway, it's a nice, powerful light. How are you live on your Facebook, on your photography page? I can't figure it out. Chad, I think if you go to Rich Baum Real Estate Photography, I think it's live. If it's not, I don't know how people are seeing this. Anyway, if anybody wants to chime in and see that. What modifier are you using on the 600? Okay. The 600... The 600 I got comes with this reflector. This is a Godox mount. It's not a Bowens mount. I wish it was a Bowens mount because I'd have more choices for modifiers. But this is just a reflector. Here's the 600 light. It's just a reflector. And it has on, mine reflector didn't come with any cover. So this is just my end flash cover I put on here. Before I sold my second end flash, my first one broke before I even used it. It was used though. Anyway, the capacitor blew up, smoke, and it was crazy. Anyway, so I just have a little modifier on here just for protection of the light bulb. And you can all buy extra light bulbs for these things. I've never broken one from any of my lights. Like, I've never broken quantum or anything, so I wouldn't worry about it. Chad, you've been looking at the 600. I tell you, man, I again got it off the Amazon Prime Day, and I got it for $439, I think. So it was a great deal. It's manual, but I'd recommend it at $100 more. It's just the way to go in the long run because of the availability to remotely adjust it and incorporate it with all my other lights. Everything, I'm all Godox now, and it's life is good. Okay. Conversation starter, 10 comments so far. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to continue on. I'm going to show you. Okay. This is for you out there that has young Nuo and you want to get a bigger light and you want to dip your feet in the waters of the Godox lights, but you want to keep your young Nuo lights, and I understand it. One thing I will say, here's the young Nuo transmitter controller. I think it's the 560 TX. Anyway, I really like this. I gotta say, I like it over the Godox stuff. So it's a great transmitter. If I could use it with my stuff, I would. But what I did was when I had my young Nuo lighting setup, then I got a Godox light, actually my 360. I'll bring the 360 in here so you can see it. What I did was to, instead of using, I would use the receiver that came with it to adjust the power. So I'd have a separate trigger. Let me see here. I don't have it, but this is the other one that came with it. It's 433 megahertz. Anyway, what I would do is if you want to use any other lights And as long as they have a PC port or I think this is 1/4 inch, I don't know. Anyway, you can use and don't worry about all this cockamamie stuff on this trigger, but this is a Yongnuo 603, and they're like 20 bucks. I think I paid $19 for this. This is a standard cable which goes into the PC port on the trigger, the 603 trigger. It's a dumb trigger, so you can't do anything but trigger, but it's so cheap you can get a couple of these, 3, 4 of these, and they work great. I happen to hot glue my cable into the PC port because it would never come out now, and I don't want it to come out. So anyway, here is the connector, and as long as you have the right cable to go in the right light, all I have to do here is, you can see, I open up the sync port and plug in the cable. Now I have Velcro on all my receivers because I could Velcro them on here, but you can just let this lie down here. And basically I'm going to put it on TRX, and now I'm going to turn on my streak light. I can't remotely adjust the power with this, but I'm just going to show you that my 560 TX is going to trigger. You can't see it because it's daytime, but it's triggering the 603, which is triggering the light. Now you've got this external trigger, so it's just a little bit of a hassle. I don't even want to have this thing on here. But anyway, so bottom line is, if you got this light from Adorama for $349, it comes with the battery down here. It comes with the receiver, which would be a different receiver, the 433 megahertz. And then you just plug in a 603, the $20 603 receiver, and you can trigger it, put it in with all of your Yongnuo stuff. So there it goes. Triggers great, no problem. Only thing, again, you cannot adjust the power remotely. My other light I would use it on is, let's say I wanted to use this 600. Here we go. Basically, I'm going to find the where the port is. It's on the top here, and I'm going to open it up. I'm going to plug in the 603 into this light, turn it on. Here we go. And let's see, I'm going to point it so you can see I'm not fibbing. Here we go. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but it's triggering. So there is a way you can incorporate, and you don't have to go all hog wild with going all Godox or streak light. You can just incorporate them. Here's another one. This is something I've used for years before all this other stuff came out. This may look crazy. It is crazy, but all it is a pocket wizard with it doesn't have remote control power adjustment anyway, but it's a trigger, and this will trigger my Nikon SB800. So you can use any trigger, and these triggers would also work to trigger this light. As long as you have the right cable, you can trigger almost any light. I don't see any light that is not going to work. As long as it has a port to plug in a trigger, you can trigger it with anything you've got. So you can mix it up and do what you want. You don't have to be you don't have to sell all your Yongnuo stuff or all your Nikon stuff, but I did because here's my thing. I'm pretty invested in the game of real estate photography. It's been really good to me. I spend a lot of time doing it. I want to facilitate myself with all the benefits I can. Things like my geared head. I went and finally got the 405 geared head, and I love it. And it makes my life better each and every day. And I can't convince all of you that still use ball heads, but there's a reason we all use geared heads. And most of the people that don't use geared heads just haven't tried one. All I can say is if you're doing this kind of game, real estate photography, it's not the right head for other things, but it is the right head for architecture or real estate where you need to have fine-tuned adjustments. A ball head, a pistol grip, 9 out of 10 times when you set the camera to the perfect level, because we want to level our camera, once you set it and let go of it, it's going to slightly sag from the weight of the camera and lens. So bottom line is you want to have that adjustment. Anyway, okay, so Chad, man, get the 600. Send me a message if you have any questions about it. Chad Lockwood, you got me to the light side. I haven't looked back. Well, I know that I've converted a lot of people, and I'm really passionate about what I do. But that's just me in general. I like what I do. I like to spread the knowledge. Got some big things coming out next year. I know I keep saying it, but it's going to be really cool. We're going to do some new real estate related stuff, and I really hope that we'll continue on. Anyway, let's continue with this. I just pulled out a few more things so I could show you. A lot of times you see the things that we talk about and maybe they're not explained enough, because this video is about the best way to explain something. Sam Chen, where are you? I'm channeling Sam Chen. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, this is really simple. This is a great idea. It's a bracket that holds 3 lights. It has 3 cold shoes on it, and then has a brass knuckle at the bottom to go into a stand. I happen to have 2 old young Nuos which are broken and are only on full power, but that's okay because I want it to be on full power. But you could get 3 lights, whatever you want, and they'll still all be able to be controlled from, you put these all 3 on the same channel, and your controller will, or the same group, your controller now, these are all young Nuos. I don't use them anymore because I've got the big boy back there. This would be about the same as the Streetlight 360. It's a poor man's Streetlight 360. So this trigger, this controller, the I don't know, 286, 850 XT, I don't know what the hell, I forget. Anyway, I'm old. This will adjust and trigger this tri-light, and the nice thing is, these just move any way you want. There are some guys out there putting these on different brackets and extending these out. I like this because it's actually able to be put on a stick. It's not too big. It's a nice big area of light. You could also go like this if you wanted. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but I just keep it like this. And it's a poor man's way. The bracket's probably 20 bucks. Lights each are $64 each. Trigger is 40 bucks. And there you go. You got a big ass light. You can use them singly or together or break it up into 2, 3, or 1. Anyway, this is what Sam uses, and it just is great. And it's poor man's. If I had the money Sam had, I wouldn't be bothering with this, but he loves it and he uses it and he's proud about it. That's the thing. We're proud about what we did, and we want to convert people. If this was a religion, and it is, we'd be trying to convert you. Anyway, come up with more questions, guys. I'm about out of here because I got to go make a living. But come on, ask me some questions. Okay, the next thing I'm going to discuss, and I've already discussed this in other tutorials, but I don't think my last one on Periscope actually got published. So now I'm doing Facebook Live. So I want to explain why I use this tripod. This is called the Manfrotto 3046. You can get them on eBay for $100 used in perfect condition. I've been using these since 1984. About the most important thing on this, these are so fast and simple to adjust. Okay, it goes up to pretty darn high. Here we go. It's a geared center column, means I can adjust it exactly where I want it. And if you've dealt with a carbon center post, center column, you're gonna know it's not that easy to adjust. I have Gitsu carbon fiber tripods. I don't use them for real estate. I use this aluminum tripod. Anyway, I love this, and it goes to almost 7, I can get my camera up almost 7 feet without any modification. I've had these since 1984, I think. I've had 3 or 4 of these. You can get them on eBay. Manfrotto 3046. This combined with the Manfrotto 410 405 head is just the best combination I would ever want. And the nice thing too is the legs stay together. I don't have to do them independently. I want to move my light, put it down, I open it, it's down. I don't have to screw with it. So anyway, it's heavy, but I want heavy. It is durable as all can be. It is so cheap now, $100, and usually can get a nice fluid head with that because these are not made anymore. But you can get them any day of the week. Manfrotto 3046. For me, this is the tripod. I would not use anything else. I don't want to use this for portraits or landscape or anything else. I want my nice $800 Gitsu my $800 Gitsu light tripod, carbon fiber tripod. But I want this for real estate, architecture, interiors, design, photography, whatever I need. I also like this for portrait photography in the studio. This head I do not like, the geared head I do not like for portraits, for people, for landscape. Landscape maybe. For stuff I need precision like food photography or product photography, I love this. But for real estate, architecture, and design, this geared head with a geared tripod is just the perfect thing for me. So I'm going to look for any more questions. What geared head are you using? It's called the Manfrotto 405. Now the 410, I don't know why they call the 410 a 410 and the other one a 405, because the 410 is $275 and this one lists for $500. But I found 2 of them on Craigslist over the last 2 years, 405s. I found them that retail for $500. I found them used in perfect shape for $200 for one and $250. So I have a backup. So you can find them used. You're not going to find them cheap used on eBay. Craigslist every so often. And the 405 though, the bottom line is the 410 is a great head, and $275. It's a great deal. It may seem like a lot of money, but it's not. This is geared. This is list for $500. The bottom line is it's just so much smoother, easier to adjust. The quick adjust works so much better. I cannot tell you how much better it is. The quick adjust alone is why it's so easy. It's so nice. And then the adjustment is so soft, fluid. It's just like the difference between a Cadillac and a Pinto or a Gremlin for all of you old guys out there. Anyway, the Manfrotto 405 is the tripod head the head of choice for Rich Baum. Now, I've got other heads which I use. You know what? I'm going to get my pole out. Anybody want to see pole stuff? I'm a big proponent of using a pole. Anyway, hold on a second. That wasn't long. Back. Okay. This is my pole. This is what I have put out on YouTube. This is what I put out on my blog, Rich Baum Photography blog. And the pole is a Worcester shearlock, and it's an 8-foot pole, and it goes to 16 feet. And I'll tell you something, 16-foot makes a huge difference. You don't always want to use a drone. Just a pole is so easy. This is also great because it has this connector here, which instead of unscrewing it and screwing it, you just push it down and then it goes into one of the holes and it's locked. The other thing too is, if you'll notice, this is not a round pole, but it's 6-sided pole. When you extend this, if you go to Home Depot and extend a 16-foot pole with 6 sides like this, Worcester, and you expand a round pole and you just shake them back and forth, you'll see a big difference. So get a 6-sided pole. This piece I built, this is PVC from the plumbing department, and here's from the electrical department. This is lead. This goes into here, and what it does, and I chose this because I made it, then I went and bought the Pole Pixie adapter for 30 bucks, 25 bucks. It was a piece of garbage. I went back to what I built because this is 1/4-inch stainless steel head on here, bolts. And there you go. It is beef. It is not going to break. The PVC has been snug on this pole with no adapter. It just fits on perfectly. So you've got this piece here. And the nice thing too is I could take it off if I needed to. And I've actually used this to paint my deck, so it does work. Is this like a painter's pole? It is a painter's pole, Dave. It's the Shearlock painter's pole you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's. Anyway, I want to show you what I got on here. I splurged. I've got a really right stuff. B3, BH30 head. I got it for travel. Anyway, it's got a lever clamp, and I just can switch my camera over to it. Really right stuff is great to have. It's a great company, and I recommend it highly. It is expensive, but isn't everything. And again, if you're in this for the long haul, it's cheaper to get good stuff. Anyway, this will extend so fast. There we go, full extension. I can raise it up like this, lower it down, and then bring it back. So fast. Now I can also have this. Okay, I'm just going to open up the clamp. I like lever clamps. They're my choice of all my clamps are lever clamps. Put this on it. This is the Sony A6000, and I can use a remote Wi-Fi to see this in my phone or my iPad. And I'm just going to show you. I've done this before for people. This is fully extended. Bringing up the camera. I can hold it with one hand. I can move it around with one hand. And then I can bring it down. I also can put my DSLR with my Cam Ranger up there, but I really like the Sony because it's just sweet, light, really nice. Okay, now I'm running out of time, so I got to get out of here. But I've enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll be able to do more of these with you. What else do I have? Oh, one other thing. For all of you that are using the streak light and have this battery, this is a cool thing. What you do, this is sweet. It's a little bit slow at full power recycling. You've got about a 4-second delay. So what you do here is, this is called a 2-in-1. So you plug this into the two openings of the 2 ports of your battery, comes out to one. You plug your streak light or anything else into this. It cuts your recycle time in half. It's 2 seconds. So sweet. And this was $19. So anyway, I also want to show one other thing. For those of you that would like to have more power and faster recycle with your speed lights, These speed lights, not the lithium ion ones, but the this will work for Sony. I mean, for any flash, Nikon flashes, whatever. As long as you have the right cable, you can plug in this one. This is the manual Godox light with the AA batteries. You can plug in this cable into here and plug it into the battery, the street light battery, and I can get instantaneous full power pops non-stop. Now, you don't want to do it too much because you will blow up your battery or melt your battery. I mean, sorry, melt your light. So you want to be careful using these. But man, when I'm doing sports and stuff, sometimes I need to get 5, 10 continuous pop, 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 pop. No recycle time with this going into the double connector into the battery. So it is sweet. Okay. And last but not least, okay, people are always still asking me, if you use remote tethering and we use an iPad, I have it over my shoulder, everybody's seen it, and that way I can have my iPad here, I can move my stuff around. I don't want to have my iPad, I just walk around with it if I'm using a Cam Ranger or the Sony remote app. This way it's right there, you know, it's on me every shoot all day long. And then I can do what I need to do and it's right there. Okay, this is called a life-proof case. The only problem is I don't know if they make it for the newer iPads. This is an iPad mini, I think the mini one. Anyway, I've had it for 3-4 years. I love it, but and I recommend if you're going to tether, at least use an iPad mini. But I really recommend getting any case that has a strap on it. This happens to be a great case. But and the other thing I did, which people think is a little crazy, but right here, this circle is where I need to push to trigger my Cam Ranger. And I would always have to look down at it and see where it is. So what I did was basically take a little bit of hot glue. I circled where the circle is on my screen. So now I can just feel this. I don't need it to be, I don't need to touch it. I don't need to look at it. I just can feel it and trigger my camera without looking. So it's a sweet little adaptation. Anyway, I gotta go. Really, thank you all. Wait, let me just see a couple of more questions. If you have any more questions, I'll hang out for another minute. Jeannie Krupp. Oh, I just missed what you used. That was $19. That reduces cycle time. Okay, just for you. Are you paying attention? Okay. This is the battery. This one's made by Cheetah, but you can get it by Adorama, by B&H. They all have the exact same battery. Anyway, this is a 2-in-1. You can get it off of the Cheetah website. 2-in-1 connector. So you plug your streak light into here, and it doubles your recycle time. I mean, it cuts it in half. It's 2.25 seconds. It's a huge difference. If you go into half power, it's 1 second recycle. And if you go into 1/4 or 1/8 power, it's instantaneous, as many shots as you want to do. Now, you can't really overheat a 360, streak light 360, but you can overheat speed lights. So you don't want to do too many shots in a row. You wouldn't want to do 50 shots for a speed light. You will burn it out, burn out the capacitor. Is that good, Jeannie? Mr. Sanbei, thank you, sir. Thank you. Philip, what kind of flashes and how many do you recommend someone just starting out in real estate photography? If you're starting out and you don't want to get your feet wet, you can either go with the Yongnuo, or I would really, hold on a second, I would recommend just going right to Godox or Streaklight and go get yourself the manual flashes with the lithium ion batteries, and they're going to be about $120 a piece, $149 a piece for the TTL, or $99 a piece without TTL, but the lithium battery is tits. It's great. It has way faster recycle time. You don't have to deal with AA batteries. Lithium ion is the way to go. But I would say to do, start with 3 speed lights. If you're gonna do like the Scott Hargis method, of lighting. You would then maybe just use 2 lights and have a third backup. You can also get the Yongnuo, the 563s. I think they're the 560. Anyway, the 3s are what I used to use. They also have the 4s. So anyway, I think that the Yongnuos are great. And I don't think there's any reason to really go into going Nikon or Canon flashes anymore, at least for what we're dealing with. If you have Nikon or Canon flashes, you can incorporate them in. I would save them so you don't break them, because we break equipment all the time. I dropped the light here today. I'd recommend just going with this off-brand. The Yongnuos are $69 a piece, $64 a piece. If you get the AA battery, the Godox or the Cheetahs, they're like $79 a piece, and if you buy them together, they're like $49 a piece. So I recommend just get off the Nikon, get off the Canon, and just to have this for real estate. Get them all in the same program though, because later, if you want to incorporate the streak light, you want to stay with the Godox, the streak light, or the Flashpoint, or the Cheetah. Get them from Cheetah or Flashpoint, which is Adorama, because they will warranty them. Get them together because you want them to talk to each other. You don't want to have all these different receivers and transmitters. And if you got some Yongnuo stuff now, just part with it. Go right to Godox if you're going to get the bigger lights. If you're not, stay with Yongnuo. No reason not to. I wish you had caught the whole video too, Paula. And what kind of flashes? I told you, I think just to get the speed lights, the Godox, the Cheetah, or the Flashpoint, or go with Yongnuo. Yongnuo's great stuff too. Big thanks, guys. I'm going to take off, get all the stuff back in my car. So I don't want you to think that you need too much stuff. Now, when I go into a house, I take my camera, I take my speed light, and I take my streak light. And that's all I'm doing to shoot a house now. Because I'm also doing the method where I'm masking in, I'm blending in ambient light. So I don't need flashes all the way in the background to light the rooms. A la Scott Hargis. I'm not putting down Scott Hargis. I'm saying everything I do is Scott Hargis. But I'm saying that I'm not trying to get my shots straight out of camera. I am saving time by shooting a good lit shot, a good flash ambient, a good ambient shot, and a window shot, and then going home and putting it all together. It just works for me. We'll do whatever works for you. Okay, man. Talk to you guys later. Rich Baum Photography, Sacramento, California. Out of here. I'd love to hear your feedback if this worked well, if this format, the Facebook Live, works. This will also be on my feed for a while, and will probably be on my YouTube channel if I can get it up there. Anyway, thank you so much. I've gotten some great feedback from everybody. And again, we've got some exciting stuff coming up next year, and I'll talk about it turn of the year. But really, really dig it. And I've gotten so many people say I've helped them. I've helped them to move into using lights. That's what it's all about, in my opinion. Did HDR for years. I really now would never go back to HDR. I think lighting is the way to go to get a truer color, get a crisper shot, be able to deal with harsher situations all the time. So, and the way I do the things, I think that doing a little bit of masking in ambience not only makes it look better, but makes it easier to shoot. Because God knows this is tough enough as it is. We all need help. So take it easy, tell another person about this, and I'll do another one of these as soon as I can muster up the energy. Talk to you later. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.